If you feel like you have witch wounds or persecution fears that are in your Akashic records and your energetic templates, I'm going to share some insights that came through from a client session. She gave me permission to share in case it supports you on your journey as well. So you're going to want to save this video so you can come back to it in the future. But from pretext, she is a energy healer, a spiritual mentor. So she's giving client sessions. One of the reasons we were going in to see what was going on in her records is because we were kind of feeling stuck and stagnant with our client growth and with our spiritual abilities. I went into her energy field. I saw a velociraptor, like the dinosaur. I was asking her higher self, why is that here? And she said it's a mechanism in place to safeguard against witch wounds and persecution fears. So in this incarnation, but multitudes of others as well, where that has either happened or there was a potentiality of it happening. And so I was asking her energy body, what exactly do you want to be able to do with your abilities, with your spiritual gifts? And this is when she started feeling a lot of tension and panic in her chest and throat area, her heart chakra. And we astral projected within, and I looked down in her at the bottom of her heart chakra, and there was a drain plug like would be in your bathtub. And I said, do you want to see what's in there? And she said yes. And so I pulled the plug, and all this energy started swirling down in the drain hole, and her and I swam through it. And we were walking around kind of in this dark space, and she said, where are we? I said, it appears that we are in a bioluminescent forest. So imagine all of the plants and bugs were all these different kind of neon colors in the pitch black. And her higher self came in and said, these are the gifts that are lying dormant within that are ready to be brought to the surface and brought to the light. I asked what might be preventing them from coming up. And then I heard this voice from the shadows that was not her, my client, but somebody else in there. And I said, hello? And I said, hey, and this old kind of crone woman came out from the woods. Think of like deep set wrinkles, but the wrinkles are more symbolic of all of the wisdom that she's accumulated over these different lifetimes. And the voice said, they're not ready. I said, who? I said, are you talking about the mass populace, like the general collective of people here on Earth? And she said, yes. I asked, well, who said it's your job to teach all of them? Or to heal all of them? I said, what about these mages over here? So when we all turned, there was 10 people that had cloaks on and staffs. So mages are wielders of magic, if you will. So again, this is very symbolic. But I said, what about these 10 mages over here? What is preventing you from helping them? Not the whole populace, just these 10 mages. And the crone woman said, I don't want to send them out to the world to be disappointed. I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, if I don't feel that the world is ready to receive, esoteric knowledge and wisdom and healing, how would I be able to support the mages? I would just be setting them up for failure. I asked, why do you think that they need to change the world? And so basically what's happening is this crone woman, who is a part of my client, she's an archetype. She is, again, accumulation of all of the wisdom that has been gleaned over a big set of her incarnations that have to do with witchy woo-woo metaphysics esotericism. But she's been too afraid to step up into a mentor or teacher because she said they ain't ready. Like, what's the point in doing all of that when nobody's ready to receive it? And I said, well, these 10 mages are ready to receive it. And the thing is, like, okay, here's the crone woman, and then here's all 10 of the mages, and then the 10 mages are also going to have 10 mages underneath them, like apprentices. Okay, maybe they're not mage level yet, but they're like baby mages learning from the mages that are learning from the crone. You're creating these lineages of people that are going to go out and make these really big shifts in the collective. We're not trying to change and heal the entire world by ourselves. Okay, hyper independent queen. There's a much more effective way of doing that. And I said, why don't you just move to a reality where people are ready? And she looked at me and I said, you need to remember in your mind, how to shift to parallel realities. Like, you have forgotten that because you've been down in this space for so long. You can simply move to one where the collective is ready to receive these things. I said, right now, you're really focused on helping people with manifestations, like how to bring in a house and how to bring in a car and how to bring in more money, which we love that. However, we want to move into a reality where everyone is focused on understanding themselves, their magic, and how to shape reality. Because yes, it's really beneficial to manifest those 3D things, but if you really reconstruct your whole foundational system, you elevate the entirety of your life. You have a complete identity self-concept shift, which changes everything instead of just this one manifestation over here. With that comes a lot more esoteric understanding stuff and knowledge and wisdom. And I said, there's a gap between my client and you down here because she has not been able to access you because of the fear paradoxes that are residing in this space. You are not progressing because you are at a stalemate. And what I mean by that is, deep in the subconscious and psyche and even Akashic records, there's fears that are being projected towards my client's consciousness of, oh, don't do that. Don't start talking about these things because it's going to be a waste of time, or people are going to misuse the information. It's just, we're not ready to share this with the world. And my client reiterated that back to me, and she was like, I do feel a tightening and a constriction in my chest and my throat chakra anytime that I try and talk about these things. I was like, yeah, that's where it's coming from, is a safety mechanism within. I was talking to the crone. I said, you were focused on those 10 mages over there. Okay, the ones that we talked about, like, hey, why don't you just help them? Okay, mentor them. And then they'll go mentor other persons who want to become mages. I said, or you could create a whole new baseline of reality. And yeah, maybe everyone isn't on mage level yet, but they're open and curious how to get there, instead of choosing the reality where everyone is not ready. So there's a paradigm where we're just helping these 10 people, and then they're helping people and they're helping people. Or you could move yourself into a space where, you know what, the general populace and the general collective, even if they're not conscientiously aware of it yet, their soul knows that this is where we're headed, of awareness, compassion, empathy, understanding, community. and they are open to learning esotericism and spirituality and self-love and all of these things that you already have an awareness of. But if we're just making blank statements over everyone of saying they ain't ready, then they're not gonna be. And you will not have access to them and will stay in those fear paradigms. And I was telling my client, what she can do on a day-to-day is be very mindful about what she is consuming, either on social media or conversations with other people, about how far behind everybody is, and everybody's just walking around like sheeple and like all this stuff. Like, sure, that can be true if you want to live in that reality. Or you can say, you know what, everybody that I come in contact with is super self-aware and they love themselves, they love other people, they want to be of service, they want to better understand themselves, they're super focused on magic and whimsy and optimism and joy in life. If that's a reality you choose, then that's a reality you'll live in. And then you'll feel much more inclined to share your witchy woo-woo self, because even if people aren't at mage level of consciousness yet, they're still open to receiving your ideas and the medicine that you have to offer. And that's how you move yourself into more mystical and magical realms. So I would love to hear in the comments if this resonated with you, if it gave you the encouragement that you needed, if you felt energetic shifts within. If you would like your own personal session, I do offer those. You can find them in my bio or in the comments. And I'm wishing you an absolutely magical day.